Edgar Berlanga has the dream of upsetting Canelo Alvarez coming up on September 14th. Roy, if you could put on your analyst hat and really break down the fight, what do you think realistically is going to happen next Saturday?
Edgar Berlanga is going to have to go out there right away and see can he hurt Canelo, which I have never seen Canelo shoot and hurt in a fight myself that I knew of. But if he can hurt, because Edgar is a bigger guy, he's a puncher, if he can hurt Canelo, then he has a chance because now he'll put Canelo in a sense of where I don't need to get hit by this guy. I may have to change the way that I operate. For instance, B-Ball put him in a situation where he had to respect B-Ball's punching power but B-Ball was a light heavyweight. So B-Ball was a bigger guy. And he did respect that punch, and he kind of stayed off of B-Ball. Well, Berlanga has to go out and get that kind of respect right away. If he doesn't, and to the flip side of that, he's got to be able to absorb what Canelo brings to his chin. B-Ball was able to withstand what Canelo brought to his chin. And he was able to give Canelo back better than Canelo brought him. Can this guy do that? Can Berlanga take the onslaught and return it just as good or better? That's what's going to be the question. Because if he can take the onslaught and return it, then we got ourselves a great fight. If he can't take the onslaught, then we got us a fight that's going to be good for 3 rounds, and it's going to be over.
Mm. If you were cornering Berlanga, I know you said, hey, he has to take it to him right away. He has to gain Canelo's respect. You got to see how he takes Canelo's power. But if you were in the corner with him, what would you tell him to look out for?
If I was in the corner with him, I wouldn't tell him to look out for nothing. We know Canelo has great hooks. We know Canelo has great hooks to the body. Most Mexicans have great hooks to the body. Most Mexicans got great hooks. Julio Cesar Chavez is one of the best left hands ever. So you know to look out for the left hooks to the head and to the body, but Canelo also throws a pretty good overhand right and a straight right hand. So you can't really tell him to look out for nothing particularly from Canelo. What you tell him is to go out there and put Canelo on the defense and use your feints and keep Canelo on the defense. Don't let Canelo put you on the defense because if he does, you're going to be in for a short night.
Yeah, that's tough to go ahead and be able to do that. Now, certainly, like Berlanga's the bigger guy. Would you consider him the bigger puncher?
Well, he's the bigger guy and the bigger puncher, which is why you have to go out there and put him on the defense right away.
Given that if Canelo is on the defense, wouldn't that open up more counterpunching opportunities for Canelo, or is his mind too preoccupied with blocking these bombs that he can't really give proper thought to countering?
Well, see, that's the question. Sometimes when a guy punches so big, guys don't want to take a risk of trying to counter because you might get caught between that counter. So that's why I say it depends on how effective Berlanga can be with his punching power. If he has precise punching power, then he'll make Canelo keep his hands at home. He won't be as willing to counter. But if they're not precise punches, then Canelo gonna come between them. So that'll all be determined on how good Berlanga's punches are, how crisp, how sharp, how precise.
Overall, when you look at stylistically, Roy, do you think this is going to be a very exciting, a very good match that goes a few rounds?
For 3 or 4 rounds, it's going to be very fantastic if it lasts that long. Like I said, I don't know because I haven't seen. I don't know if Berlanga can take Canelo's punch. I think Canelo can take his because, like I said, I've yet to see Canelo truly hurt in a fight. I knew he had respect for B-Ball's punching power. So if B-Ball got his respect, then Berlanga should be able to get his respect. But I don't know if Berlanga can take what comes back at it. I haven't seen that yet.
How big of an upset would it be if Berlanga pulls this off, Roy?
Well, to some people, it will be a huge upset, but it shouldn't be because when a guy goes 17 or 18-0 with all first-round knockouts, that tells you he has exceptional punching power. And if he catches anybody right at any time, he can take them out, which is why he has to use that coming into this fight. If you don't use that, what good does it do you to build that reputation?
Do you think he gives a better fight than Munguia did?
Yeah, I think he gives a better fight than Munguia did, except I don't know that down the stretch it would be as good a fight because I don't think he could withstand the stuff that Munguia withstood and kept coming at. I don't know that Berlanga gonna take that kind of punishment and keep going. But now what he gives is probably gonna be better than what Munguia gave, but I just don't know for a fact if he can absorb what Munguia absorbed.
Yeah, you know, there's been a lot of criticism on Canelo for picking Berlanga as an opponent as opposed to David Benavidez, which a lot of fans have been clamoring for that fight with Benavidez. Do you feel that we get that fight? Do you think that Canelo is marinating the fight, or do you think that there is a real risk there for him in taking that fight?
It's a real risk there for him for taking the fight. I mean, of course, he's like any other champion. He wants to make you guys salivate what y'all want to make us pay for it, which is smart. I don't think he's scared of Benavidez, but Benavidez is a tough order for anybody right now, especially if you're at the top of your game, because he's very busy, he's big, he's effective, he's aggressive. All the things you don't want in a fighter, David Benavidez is as an opponent. You feel me? So everything you don't want to see in your opponent, David Benavidez is. Now, does that mean you think he can't beat David Benavidez? No, but he wants to make sure that he makes you guys wait and ask and beg long enough that y'all gonna pay for it, then he'll take his chance. Because he knows too that it is a risky chance he's taking. David Benavidez should be, I ain't gonna say what fact yeah, but he should be a tad bit hungrier than Canelo for that spot. You understand? Canelo been in that spot. David wants that spot. So he should be the hungry guy who has to still be careful because Canelo can punch. And it is what it is, but he should be hungrier than Canelo. Just the fact of how hungry Canelo will be.
Yeah, you know, it's a weird thing because like when you think about it, like what's the biggest fight that Canelo can be in at this point? And you would say either Crawford or Benavidez. I don't know
That's
which
it.
one would be bigger, but one of the two. And you think, okay, the longer he waits for a Benavidez fight, the more difficult it will be because Benavidez is coming into his prime and that time he's improving, getting experience, getting better. So it's like, why not go into it right now? Like get him like how Floyd got Canelo, you know, young.
It's different though. He ain't as young as Canelo was. He come from a fighting family. He ain't one of one. His people understand boxing. Canelo's people were supposed to understood boxing when he fought Floyd, but they didn't. Because if you understood boxing, you know to tell Canelo, whatever you do, you don't box Floyd Mayweather. You're not gonna beat him boxing. One of the greatest Mexicans of all time, who just Cesar Chavez, could not box Roger Mayweather. He would have lost. So follow the blueprint. It's right there in your face. Y'all didn't. Y'all went out there and let him try to box. Yeah, he's 21, but we can't make the assumption that he was 21, he wasn't ready. No, my favorite fighter of all time died at 22. He did so much. He had damn near 9 title defenses at 21 years old. Salvador Sanchez at 21 years old. We talking about Wilfredo Gomez, who's 27 old, 27 knockouts. We talking about Danny Red Lopez, Patrick Ford, Zoan Nelson. We talking about killers. And he was 19, 20, and 21 years old, beating these dudes. So age is not the thing here. It's knowledge. They didn't send him into the fight with the right knowledge. So it's not about age for Benavidez. And any time right now is the wrong time to fight Benavidez because he's a hungry lion who throws a lot of punches, who we haven't really seen hurt yet, who has a very good gas tank, and who's big for the weight class. Everything Canelo don't want to see, Dave Benavidez is that. That don't mean Benavidez is gonna beat him, but everything Canelo don't want to see right now, David Benavidez is that.
What about if Terence does go ahead and goes into this fight with Canelo based on how you saw how he looked, I guess, his performance against Madrimov 54? Is that wise? Because Madrimov put some punches together on him. It looked like it was a close fight, but it looked like he had some difficulty there with Madrimov.
Let me explain 2 more things to you guys. Madrimov is a good fighter, right? 10-0. How much pro experience does he really have? Does that make Bud really get up? No, it doesn't. You 10-0. Bud's supposed to beat you if you're a light heavyweight. 10-0, Bud's still supposed to beat you. So Bud was supposed to beat you at 10-0. So there was no pressure on Bud. The pressure on Bud was to not let you beat him. Because Madrimov was the one that could have pulled off what they call upset. Because he the one who only has 10 pro fights. He don't have no bunch of. He don't have a lot of experience. So he wasn't supposed to necessarily beat Bud, but he did better than people expected. But the guy has a immaculate amateur background.
Yeah,
You
300
understand me?
fights. Yeah.
Thank you. So he is a pro. It ain't just 300. He got 10 pro fights, but he got 300 amateur fights. That's enough. Most pros don't have that. So now, that being said, you are dangerous enough that Bud got to worry about you to make sure he stays on his A game, but you're not experienced enough that Bud got to be so concerned they got to get, oh, I got to make this the best fight of my life. No, he don't. But when he fight Canelo, he does. Because Canelo is big, has just as much experience as Bud has been a bigger fighter for years now, and has only gotten bigger and stronger as he's gone. So that's a fight that Bud got to say, okay, now my hands are full. Now I got to go get this mind right and focus and get myself the best that I can be. Because if I'm not at my very absolute best, I'm not going to beat this guy. That's a different mentality. So the mentality is what makes it interesting for me. Do I think Canelo can beat Bud? It's a tough fight to call. I think his size may be his best going factor. But if he goes out and boxes Bud, he's not going to beat Bud boxing. He's not. So if Bud can take his punch, he's not going to outbox Bud. So it's like, it'll be what would determine the fight would be who wants it most and who has the best fight plan. Because to me, I don't care what they say, if Bud can get Canelo to box him, Bud will outbox Canelo.
So it's still a fight that you feel is competitive enough despite what happened in the Madrimov fight.
Without a question, it's competitive enough. Well, what he showed you in the Madrimov fight is that he can take the punch at 154. So now, can he take it at 68? Still yet to be seen.
Yeah, because a lot of people are saying like, hey, forget about Canelo. That was a tough fight with Madrimov. Go ahead and give Boots a shot. Give Boots the chance. But Eddie's saying, hey, I think Crawford's saying, hey, give me the Canelo fight, or I'm not fighting. I'm done.
Why? What he got to prove to Boots? Mm. Boots trying to take over, start beating the guys around him, prove that he's the best of that group. Bud is in a group above him. Bud don't need to come back down to 47 to meet him. That's crazy. Why would he? Bud looking to try to make history and get out. Get his big bank and get out. His big bank is who? Canelo. He willing to take that gamble, see if he can beat him. If he beats him, he may go fight Benavidez next. If he don't beat him, he say, okay, I took it as high as I could go. I'm done.
That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy if he gets the win. Like, oh my God, to go up those 2 weight classes and go ahead and achieve that. Oh my goodness. Wow. I know you have a fight coming up that you are promoting and also commentating, I believe, September 19th in Washington. You're putting your hat in the ring as a promoter as well. Let me know, the decision behind putting on shows like this, Roy.
My decision behind putting on shows like this comes from me just knowing the business, knowing how tough it is for guys to get the right opportunities to get them in the spots or the positions that they want to be in. Sometimes when you're tied with the bigger promoters keep doing whatever's necessary to stay tied in with the big franchises as far as the ranking organizations or the sanctioning bodies. And so it's kind of difficult for a small time guy or a guy that's not really on that playing field to get in. So what I try to do is go out the back way, do it the other way, deal with some of the smaller guys, smaller section organizations to get these guys a belt regardless, because in boxing, truthfully speaking, most of the time, a belt is a belt. To win a belt, you got to beat somebody for a belt. Once you get a belt, everybody wants that belt. They don't care what belt it is. So it's like, titles are everything in boxing. If you don't have a belt, then you don't have nothing. You understand me? Unless you get a name so big that goes beyond the belts, but not many names go beyond the belts because people want to know who is the champion. They don't care what organization you're the champion of. Who is the champion? When they see a champion, they see a belt, that's a champion. It don't matter what belt it is.
You're going to be doing some commentating on this, right? Or they're going to mic you up?
Yeah, I probably do a couple fights commentary wise too. I might even commentate my own fighters. I did that before, so I might do it again.
Oh man, Roy, you're the only guy that has done so many things like this. So this is another feather in your cap.
Yes.
Hey, Roy, I would imagine you've been keeping abreast of the news of what's happening in the boxing landscape. A lot of changes, especially with the disruption that Turkey Al-Sheikh has done in the boxing game. He wants to lower pay-per-view cost. He's putting on these big fights. How do you see this all shaking out in the next few years, Roy?
I honestly speaking, I don't really get that deep into it. It's gonna be a lot of changes, I'm sure, but he has the type of money that could change it. The only thing is once again, it's gonna be good for the guys that are at the top level. It's gonna be rough for the guys who are at the bottom trying to get to the top because he may accidentally create a bigger gap. For instance, guys like Jaron Anderson, who are gonna slowly develop and get up there, you take them around and skip over that development stage and put them up there, and look what happens. So you got to be really careful how you move these guys. There are reasons that people know how to move guys. There's a reason why certain promoters like a Top Rank and a Golden Boy know how to properly position these guys to get them to the top. You understand me? That's very important. Sometimes we think, oh, we want to see the big fights. Yes, we do. But we want to make the guys big, get them to that spot first. Then you make a big fight. So we got to bring an A side and a B side to the top. Now they meet to find out which one was the best. Or A East and an A West, or A North and an A South, one or the other. But you can't just take these guys who are on their way and just because you got the money, skip the ladder and jump to the top because they're not going to succeed usually.
He has plans to make a boxing league where he has, I guess, a majority of the fighters under one umbrella, similar to the UFC. Do you think that can work given the structure of boxing?
It probably could, but the fact that boxing is so much older and boxing has always been bona fide or solidified by being a title holder, it's going to be tough unless you get one title and everybody has the opportunity to bow for the title. Because in boxing, everybody had a chance. UFC, you got to get on the UFC or get in the UFC to have a chance. You can't get in, you don't have a chance. You understand me? Boxing was not that way before, but now because of the way the UFC is, it may be forcing boxing to make a change. The good thing is that boxing fans will get the fights that they want to get. The bad thing is that a lot of guys that would get those opportunities, or the guys that would not normally get the opportunity, they won't get those opportunities anymore.
Because of the new structure, how it is.
Exactly.
Is it good to have a single organization in boxing, or is it good to have more or less how it is now in terms of competition?
To me, it would be good to have a single organization because of competition. But once again, you got a single organization. It's harder for that single organization to keep up with all the fighters. That's why so many different outbreaks from the UFC have happened. You got the UFC, you got all these other different rival companies that do fighting because there are so many guys that one organization can't house them all. So with boxing, one organization is not going to be able to house all the guys. That's why there's so many organizations there because you can't house all the guys. Now, if one organization is bigger than the rest, which the UFC is, then good, do a good job and get most of the people and most of the fans because it can house the household names better. But there are sometimes when it gets rid of these household names go to other platforms and become just as big. Ngannou, about the fact that the guy now, the big guy, that's not UFC. That's on something else. But it's a really huge fight. You understand me? So, I mean, it's just different things that come about, and it's going to bring about different changes, but it don't necessarily mean it's going to make it better. Now, we may get more of the fights that we want to see, which would be good, but the little guys are still going to suffer.
Mm. How do we avoid that then, Roy? What would you propose needs to happen?
I would have to think about it because I haven't thought about it anymore. I haven't thought about it because it's like when you're in boxing, when you're fighting, you think about all those things. When you're not fighting, you kind of don't worry about those things. You kind of just try to do what you do to get your guys to the level where they can't compete. But I haven't really thought about that yet because I don't have a guy or it hasn't taken enough place for me to really see what the landscape looks like. There will have to be something for the small guys still to be able to compete and have an opportunity to get an opportunity. You understand me? So one organization may not be the answer. However, 3 or 4 like we had. We had 4. When I was around, we had 3. 3 organizations with proper ranking systems without the the payola stuff and all that may make it good enough. Because we had a WBA, WBC, and IBF, and even if you add a WBO, you got 4 organizations now that kind of can have their own champion. It gives people 4 chances to become champ. You understand me? Every now and then you want to have an undisputed champ, but then you got to break it back off and let it start again. Let that fire rebuild. And so that's a beautiful thing for boxing when it happens that way. And it also gives other people opportunities to become champion. You think about it, back in the Ali days, there were other guys that probably could have been heavyweight champions, but because Ali was the champ, they didn't have a chance. You understand me? So you give other people opportunities because there's more than one belt or one way to become champ. When you take that away, you're going to kill a lot of opportunities. You're going to kill a lot of dreams. And that's not what boxing has always been about.